How's the lawn? Hello. After several days without a car video. If you missed my last car vid, I want to let you know that I'm now on LinkedIn. The professional network. And I'm posting stuff on there, actively posting. If you want exclusive LinkedIn content from Tim, I'll put my LinkedIn profile below. In a somewhat more serious note, I like the idea of LinkedIn, as I mentioned last video, and I am putting content on LinkedIn that's not on here. It's only on LinkedIn. I'm excited to see, how that space interacts with some of the ideas that we talk about on this channel in a more professional setting than YouTube. Because, despite all of the absurdity of these car videos, which is understandably a key part of their charm, despite all the absurdity, the ideas that we're exploring here in the car with Tim are serious ideas. They're ideas that are intended to change your life. I know they've changed my life. Make you feel better. Make you a quote-unquote better person. For some people, improve their health, improve their relationships, improve their finances. That's like what these manifesting ideas are pointing to. And at the same time, the way they're explained often is in this very mysterious, vague, esoteric light, which is not needed. And when we get rid of all the mystery surrounding a lot of these concepts, I think we find they work better in our lives, That's why I'm on LinkedIn. Because I know people, like on LinkedIn, for instance, like they're interested in the practical aspect of it. How can I feel better? How can I feel better? How can I feel less stressed and overwhelmed in my day-to-day? And I love exploring that stuff. And if, you want my help, I'm glad to help you if you're serious about it. So today I thought we could discuss something that I have a lot of trouble with all the time. And I think a lot of people have trouble with. And that is allowing ourselves space. Space. I know for me, I've always tried to make it so I have ample time to quote unquote do nothing. Free time. I always kind of, did my best to avoid being bogged down with stuff I did not want to do, right? Like the idea of like a 9-to-5 job, for instance, never appealed to me because it's like, well, there's not enough time for me to have space if I have a 9-to-5 job. Not to say you can't create space during a 9-to-5 work schedule. You very much can. But that kind of idea of being held down, not having enough room to kind of just, do your own thing, kind of made me the kind of person that it's like I need to be self-employed. I need to create my own hours. I need to allow myself the space to thrive. And it's a constant practice, I think, for a lot of us doing that. And as your life changes, you have to adapt with it and figure out ways to give yourself space. Today I live, with 2 young children, and my wife, and where we live is not huge, and so like a lot of times it feels like we're on top of each other, right? And it's like, how do I give myself space in these circumstances? How can I give myself a little bit of space before dinner, for instance, when pots are clanking and people are yelling and drums are banging? How can I do that? And actually, honestly, that's sometimes why I do go out to the cars. That can give me space, right? And take a walk around the block, whatever, little things like that. But also, as we go through today, how can we give ourselves space? How can we pause or take a time out during the day? And, if we think about it, there's so many ways to do it, right? We can do a breathing exercise, or we can go, to if we're in like a work 9-to-5 environment, we can go to the bathroom and just spend a little bit longer there. Maybe talk to ourselves some out loud. Switch locations in the office. All these different little things we can do to give ourselves just a little bit of space during the day. Because the space we really want, of course, is usually not physical space as much as it's mental space. See, like for me, it's like what's difficult is not physically having like 2 kids that like I need to attend to. It's like having 2 kids that need to be attended to and not giving myself the space mentally to be okay while I'm doing that. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm serving my children's needs too much and not serving my own enough. And so I'm always trying to figure out and enacting ways to better serve myself while serving my kids at the same time. Because when I figure out a way to give myself more space, whether it's like when they're both occupied in a safe zone, like to just breathe or ground myself for like a minute or two, for instance, when I do that, when I serve myself better, I also am serving them better. I become more present with them, as opposed to being like overwhelmed, right? So how can we give ourselves space? This is like really mundane and really freaking important. Really important. What are little things that will give yourself gaps during the day? And what are activities that will give you perhaps lawn gaps that give you that space? For instance, if I get up at 5 a.m. and I'm meditating, vibing out, unless something unexpected happens, like, my youngest daughter gets up early. But if it's like a normal day, like I know I have an hour or so of space where I can vibe out and there's no pressure. I give myself that space, right? Now, if I got up at 6, like when my daughter gets up, well, I haven't given myself that space. And I can tell you, when that happens, or when my daughter gets up earlier, so I don't have that, if she gets up at 5 and I'm just got up as well, I can tell you emotionally, mentally, energetically, I usually feel different if I haven't given myself that space, that half an hour or hour space beforehand to be by myself. If my daughter unexpectedly has gotten up earlier and it's like, here we go, the day's starting right now, and I haven't given myself that space beforehand, well, I'm going into the day in a different frame of mind, a different reference point, which I'm then going to have to work through, which is fine. But if I have the choice, I'm going to choose and make time to give myself space, because I prefer that usually. So this isn't about being perfect, of course. It's nothing about being perfect. This isn't hypothetical stuff. This is like, what are the things I can do to allow myself the ability to relax more internally as I go through the day. Again, it doesn't have to be physical space. I can be in the same room with my 2 kids when they're screaming and still be grounding myself and be relaxed internally, right? But often it does help to switch or change your physical space in order to feel more inward space as well. Go take a walk, for instance. Go jogging, go exercising. We have an office down the street, my wife and I do, so I like to sometimes literally switch my space. I'm at the house, I take a walk, I walk 10 minutes to the office, and I'm in the office. Even if I'm not seeing anybody, I'm in a different space. And energetically, emotionally, mentally, I might, inwardly then feel more relaxed by going there. Generally speaking, the more we can feel inwardly at ease and relaxed with what's going on, not necessarily in this special way, not necessarily in this I'm so blissed out way, but just I'm okay. I feel calm right now. Things are okay. All this crazy crap can be happening, My kids might be throwing crayons and markers all over the room and drawing on themselves and drawing on each other, but things are fine. The more we can be calm in the midst of the chaos, the more easily we'll find that we get in flow during the rest of the day, the more creative we tend to be, the more fulfilled we usually become, the more, lighthearted we are when we interact with people. All this stuff adds up. It makes your life better. And it's not esoteric. It just helps. So if you'd like help from me, down to earth help when it comes to this stuff, I can be reached at info@radicalcounselor.com. Until next time, do your best to give yourself the space you deserve.